All right, so this project is a debate. It was intended to be done in class. We actually did the debate in class against another group. We were for banning soda on PSU campus, so we wanted to ban soda. We were against the group who didn't want this to happen. So we had four people in our group, starting with Mackenzie, and she gave just an intro. She said what our definition of soft drink was, which is derived from the Encyclopedia Britannica. And that definition was a soft drink is any class of non alcoholic beverages, usually but not necessarily carbonated, normally containing a natural or artificial sweetening agent, edible acids, natural or artificial flavors, and sometimes juice. Natural flavors are derived from fruits, nuts, berries, roots, herbs, and other plant sources. The important thing coffee, tea, milk, cocoa, and undiluted fruit and vegetable juices are not considered soft drinks. And so she would just propose our proposition was to ban the selling of soda on soft drinks on PSU campus in order to promote a more healthy and progressive lifestyle within the PSU student and faculty community. And so she discussed that. She also introduced the rest of our team. I was next. I talked about nutrition. And this is basically our reason for wanting to do this. Nutrition is probably the biggest factor in why drinking soda is bad. And so now that you've heard our goal, why should we do this? What's so bad about soda? The truth is that drinking soda is really linked with becoming overweight, diabetes, all sorts of negative health side effects of being overweight. And overweight and obesity is basically an energy imbalance. This involves eating too many calories and not getting enough physical activity. And the problem with this is that soda is essentially empty calories. It provides no nutritional benefits. It's really just sugar, flavor, and water. And each soda serving can have anywhere from 100 to 300 calories in a normal sized container, what we'd consider normal. But if you get one of those big gulp or like liters, that can have up to 700 calories. And some people will drink that completely in one sitting. So that's really not good. Your average, if you think about it, the recommended daily calories for a normal person is somewhere between 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. So you're drinking almost half of your daily allowance of calories just in one serving. On top of that, the recommended amount of sugar per day is 100 to 150 calories, and that's including natural sugars like you would find in fruits and vegetables. So you really don't have a whole lot of room there. Also, in addition, people who drink sugary beverages usually don't feel as full as if they had eaten the same amount of calories from solid food, and so studies have shown that people consuming sugary beverages don't compensate for the high calories that they've just consumed, and they'll actually just eat the same amount without considering how many calories that soda had. So there you're just getting more and more calories on top of each other. We also feel that environment is a big factor in this, and so this kind of plays into why we want to ban soda on PSU. So if you don't have any options, if huge soda servings are the most readily available, people are going to purchase them, and once they purchase them, they're going to drink them. So we want to be the school that doesn't promote that. Yeah, and so one of the things that this leads to is obesity. In the US right now, over a third of the adults are obese. That's 78.6 million people. And overweight and obese levels increase the risk of the following diseases: coronary heart disease, endometrial, breast and colon cancer, high cholesterol, stroke, liver and gallbladder disease, sleep apnea and respiratory problems, osteoarthritis, infertility, and type 2 diabetes. This is also a problem in children. They aren't exempt from this. We live in a time now where children actually have a shorter life expectancy than their parents on average, and children can suffer from all of the above-mentioned afflictions, and children can be obese. So if children are overweight, they're also more likely to be overweight and obese in their adulthood, and it's probably going to be more severe. And studies have shown that sugary drinks are the largest source of added sugar and an important contributor of calories in the diets of children in the US. And the high consumption of sugar drinks, which have few, if any, nutrients, have been associated with obesity. On a typical day, 80% of youth drink sugary drinks. Yeah, and also, again, back to this environment thing, it's difficult for children to make healthy food choices and get enough physical activity when their environments, such as home, childcare centers, school, etc., they don't promote these ideas. And PSU is a very diverse school. We have a lot of children on campus, we have a lot of families, and so if we can help it, we don't want to be a place that promotes this environment of pushing soda onto children. Yeah, and so going back to these negative health side effects, diabetes is a really big one. People think, I'm young, I'm healthy, a little sugar won't hurt me, I'm skinny. But the truth is that one soda a day, sweetened with sugar or artificial sweetener, can increase your risk for type 2 diabetes by 22%, whether or not you are skinny. So this can be a sugar imbalance rather than a weight problem, so you can get diabetes whether or not you're overweight. And like I said, soda is empty calories, so there is really no nutritional value from this. Let's see, what else do we want to touch on here? Yeah, so let's talk about students and soda. So we are on a campus. This is a school. People come here. They spend thousands of dollars in order to learn. But the truth is that when children or adults ingest a large amount of sugar, they can experience a sugar high. We've all heard of that, and a sugar crash. We've all heard of that too. And the body reacts to this flood of sugar when you're drinking soda by releasing insulin. And too much insulin has been shown to correlate with lower blood glucose. That's its job, but that causes people to have difficulty with attention and memory, and those are very important when you're in a classroom setting. In addition, people who consume high levels of sugar and attempt mentally challenging tasks, their bodies produce high levels of cortisol, a stress hormone that makes remembering more difficult, and high levels of cortisol may result in children or young adults not being able to pay attention in class or being unable to sit quietly. And so children and young adults who experience this, they're losing a lot of learning time, and in addition, wasting a lot of money coming to school and not being able to do well because of this thing that they're drinking. Another thing that comes up, a lot of people think that diet soda is better, but going back to when I talked about people who drink soda don't, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. So basically what happens is that even though there's no calories in these artificial sweeteners, sweet oral stimulation increases appetite. And so when people eat sugary, high-fat things, it doesn't satisfy them. In fact, it makes them want more. So that's definitely not good. It encourages people eating more junk food, snack food. Also, in addition, and probably related to this, is there was a study done by Michael Tordoff and Annette Aleva, and they gave subjects either no soda, high fructose corn syrup soda, or aspartame soda, and the subjects given no soda had decreased calorie consumption and in some cases reduced weight, while the subjects given high fructose corn syrup soda significantly increased in caloric intake and body weight. And like I said, there's evidence to support that aspartame and other artificial sweeteners increase motivation to eat and thus increasing caloric intake. Also, there are some pretty negative side effects of aspartame, which is usually the lead sweetener in diet sodas. Aspartame accounts for over 75% of the adverse reactions to food additives reported by the FDA. 90% of documented symptoms there are 90 documented symptoms, some of which include headaches, dizziness, spasms, irritability, heart palpitations, weight gain, difficulty breathing, vertigo, rashes, insomnia, anxiety attacks, nausea, depression, numbness, loss of taste, seizures, and death. And so a lot of these things haven't been scientifically proven, but these are what the FDA gets reported to them. Also, there have been studies that found that aspartame impairs cognition, and so a high aspartame diet impaired spatial orientation skills and working memory. It also triggers depression and irritable moods, and again, all of this is bad, especially for students. The final thing I want to touch on is the cost of all this. So the U.S. has spent $147 billion on obesity-related health costs in 2008, and here's a quote from Bill Clinton. We've got this explosion of diabetes in America among young people. For the first time, type 2 diabetes is showing up in 9-year-olds and among the baby boomers who are retiring. And together, these things are going to bankrupt us. It's a terrible human tragedy, and it's basically too much sugar going into the body. We can't process it all. So basically, what he's saying is that this cost of being so unhealthy, living such unhealthy lifestyles, it's really not good, one, for the individual and for the individual's family and finances, but also for the US as a whole. It's really not good for the economy. We're spending so much money on keeping each other alive that this is really negative. So that's what I have to say about nutrition. In addition, Parisa, who is the next speaker, talked about PSU's role. And so basically the idea that PSU has a responsibility to provide healthy options for its students. So PSU is a very forward-thinking school. We're getting ready to divest from fossil fuels, and so why should we not divest from soda? And so one of the rebuttals that we got from the opposition was that we're going to lose a lot of money from this. But, you know, there are other things to invest in. Sophie, who is the next speaker, talked a lot about alternatives, and so Coke and Pepsi have companies like Odwalla and Naked Juices, as well as Aquafina water. There are a lot of other alternatives other than soda. Another thing that the opposition talked about was people who would get soda whether or not it was served on campus, so just going home or going to the grocery store or somewhere else to get it. And that's really not the point. The point, whether or not they get it somewhere else, that's their personal choice. We're not trying to inhibit personal choice. What we are trying to do is just say that PSU is not supporting of this. We don't want our hands on this. PSU is becoming a smoke-free campus soon. Like I said, we're divesting fossil fuels. And so this is really more of a movement toward PSU not supporting the things that it doesn't believe in, but rather promoting healthy lifestyles. Even if people don't want to follow that, there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is promote those lifestyles. So that's really what we wanted to do with this. Yeah, and I think that's really it. So.